Hey guys, as we all know, Avatar was made from a dream, and similarly, I'm making this video based on my dreams. I know this is about Hero, motocorp, and I have made some slides that I would like to show you that I think should be the future of Hero bikes. So let's get started. The ZMR, I'm sure everyone remembers this bike. Well, this was the most feared bike from Hero. One major problem with ZMR is the fiber body. If you see an old ZMR, you will see how horrible it looks. I really wish they used the body like the next bike that I'm going to show you right now. The CBR. I'm sure you know that the body is really amazing. And even if it's a 5-year-old bike, you will see the body still looks good. And that's what I've seen a major difference between the ZMR and the CBR. Right, so I think Hero should really work on its quality and get some really good quality bikes. So we hear that it is the HRX that is coming out with 250cc. 200 225cc is already there with the ZMR, so 250 is not really that big a jump. What I would really like to see is the HRX is launched as the ZMR, as I see Hero is wasting a lot of time and energy in coming up with new names. Hope they use that to come up with better quality products. Now just imagine if this is launched as a ZMR in 150 and in 250cc. Would you buy it? And in future they jump to 400 or 500cc directly. Actually, I prefer the 500 more as per me. You should just have the 250 and then the 500, which I think is good enough. You don't really need to get into the 300s and the 400 and then get into 500, right? So let me know what you think about that as well. Next up, we've all heard of the Haze Tour, which I would actually like to use the name Impulse instead of the Haze Tour, because Impulse again is a name that has been used by Hero already. They're giving us too many names as of now, and people are forgetting the ones that are already there. There will be some names here that you may not even remember that Hero actually still has it, right? So that's something that I'm thinking is a bit of too much of naming by Hero. So if they could base their Haze Tour or the Impulse on the HRX or the ZMR, they could have this similar underpin, just the fairing and without the fairing. And so if someone has an accident on the ZMR, he could just remove it and just take the Haze Tour headlights and make it look like a naked bike. This is a flexibility that we really need. There is some reason, I know there might be some regulations which stop them from doing it, but I'm sure there must be ways around it where you could take permission or get it registered that your bike is now looking like this. I'm sure there should be some option for that. You cannot just have old outdated rules to govern us even today, right? So the first two that I spoke about is the ZMR and the Haze Tour or the Impulse, if you like my naming, because I think naming is very important, because you need to have the right match of the name with the product. I'll come to that. That's the reason why I mentioned the name Impulse here and not the Extreme. I'll come to that. Next up I want to talk about is the Hunk and the Achiever. Well, these two again I feel are being wasted as a name. They could be used way better than the names are just something really amazing, but the bikes that are having these names are not that great. I'm sorry to say that, but they are not. So what could we do with this? Let's see here. So something like a VMAX is something I would call a hunk, right? Now I know it cannot have the exact same detailing like a VMAX, but you've seen the similar, the front portion is somewhat similar on a hunk, so it could probably be made something similar on this as well. And the Achiever, well, we all know about the Hero, the Honda Rebel, right? It's kind of a bike, a cruiser, or sports tour, or whatever you want to call it. It should sit somewhere in between, so that that's the name that I would say. The only reason why I put a Dominator there, that if they can't do this, they should at least do this, with the hunk, if they want to do anything like that. And of course they could get it into the 150 and the 250 segment, and I think that will do wonders if it goes into that segment. Even the name Hunk, even the name Achiever, both of them would do amazing in those two segments. Next up, we all know about the Impulse, which I really think that they should change it to Extreme. And so if this was the Extreme with 125cc, this should be the Extreme with 150 or the 250cc. I'm sure many of you all know what this is. This is the Hero bike that was used as the Dakar, uh, the World Rally, and it really deserves to be in India now because we've got the best of roads in the world. So this bike should come to India, and I don't know why Hero is not even mentioning it coming to India. They've tried it, they've tested it. Uh, this is the bike that should be talking about, and this is the bike you should watch out for if it hits the Indian roads. The 150cc could be lesser specs, the 250 could be higher specs. This could be a 125 as per me, and we could still continue with that. The name Extreme, not Impulse, please. Next up, I would like to talk about the Splendor and the Dawn, the bread earners for Hero right now, right? So I really think that they have not followed any particular design language on their bikes. The Dawn looked amazing as per me, with the round headlight especially, and the Splendor had this rectangular or a square headlight, whatever you want to call it. So these two could actually be used very well if they place the products well, right? So next I would take it to, right, now just imagine if we take the Dawn to challenge the Bullet line. So with the Dawn you get the 100cc, the 150cc and the 250cc, and we take the Splendor towards the Triumph or the Cafe Racer. Now I know Splendor has tried the Cafe Racer before, but boss, you're calling it a racer and you're giving it a 100cc. Come on. I really thought they would have put the Charisma engine into that Cafe Racer to make it at least legible for the name, right? I think you could probably use the square headlight or something like that for the Splendor part, and stick to the circle or the round headlight for the Dawn part. So they could actually distinguish between the two, and they could use similar models and all that. The only reason I've put these here is if they want, they could put the rectangular with one side of it having a regular headlight and the other one the halogen. If required some on the higher specs, maybe the 250cc could have this, and the 150cc could have the regular headlights. Right, so that's it for now, and please let me know what you think about it. If you liked what I was saying, if you liked what my thoughts were, and if you really think that if these bikes come to India, you would be buying them. If you think you would be buying them, please comment below. Maybe Hero will wake up and they will think about giving more options on their bikes. Now, I did not mention the Glamour here because I don't really see a different segment that Glamour is really touching. That could easily be taken by the CD Dawn and Splendor if it goes into the 150 and the 250 segment. And the other bike that we have is the Impulse that can go into the 125, and that could come up with the Passion as well. There was one model of Passion that was doing that. So all those things are always manageable. There's nothing extraordinary that I think I've missed, because we've seen people getting more target oriented. So for daily commutes, something like a Hunk or an Achiever. If you want, I'll take that back to you. Okay, the Hunk or the Achiever. These are the ones that I think should be really selling to the daily commuters for the 150 segment. If you want, I don't really recommend, but if you want, you could go to take it to the 125 and the 130 as well. So that's for the daily. For the touring we have, and you could use this for the touring as well. Besides that, you have the off-roader and you have the cruiser, you have the daily commuter on this as well, and so you'll have a lot of options with Hero. Just that they need to start using the names, the verticals that they've used. They could stick to the 100cc, the 150cc and the 250cc. If required, use the 125. Don't get into too much, but each name that you take it in all four categories. So you could really give your customers the option. Now a CD Dawn with a 250cc could be a basic bike. It just has a speedometer and an odometer, that's it. You don't need to have everything else, right? Okay, you want to add ABS, add ABS. Give it better tires on the 250cc, thinner tires on 100, fatter tires on 250. So those things can always be done, right? The most important thing here is to have a beautiful option for a customer. If he wants to take his 100cc bike, He wants to keep the same bike, make it a 200 or 150cc. Let him just change the engine, and get it registered again. That's all. What more can we do? Get it registered again as the new bike or as a modified bike, right? So those options really need to come in for us so that we can really use our bikes the way we want to. I mean, why be stuck to a bike with the same engine for like 10 years? Upgrade the engine if you want to, right? And I know it is possible because they have been doing that on the Impulse. They had option of 200cc on the Impulse 150. So those things can be done if required. So let me know if you like this video. I'm sorry, I know I repeated a few things and I started again. So sorry for that, but I hope you liked it. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Thank you once again.